Can you? Good morning and welcome to Mixtape Monday. This is the opportunity where you guys get to set the pace for my readings. I'm Annabelle. I'm a tarot practitioner for over 35 years. I just got off my amazing Monday morning liftoff vibe with the tribe with Rick Paul over there in England, and I'm ready to go with your requests. So if it's your first time here, what we do, this is an homage to my 80s upbringing. You guys let me know what you want to read on. I'll read on it. So I'm experimenting with a new background. So I don't know if I like it. You guys tell me what you think. It's a video background, so it might be annoying. If it's annoying, let me know and I'll make a new one. So first one, and this is one that my good friend Marnie has been asking for a while. Rumors of Serena Williams' marriage being in trouble. So we're going to take a look at that. So sit tight, kids. We're going to bring up the card view. In the meantime, if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed already, why don't you do that? It's going to be fun. We have a lot of good times over here. Currently, I am working on my digital course. I'm going to have a Tarot 101 course for you fairly quickly. So sit tight, boys and girls. We should have that. Toot sweet. I'm going to try and get as much content out for you this week before my son gets his wisdom teeth ripped out of his head. And hopefully we'll have some fun. And as always, I am still doing private readings. There's 20% off for the whole summer. You can book down below. There is a link. And I'm so glad that all of you are here. So it's Monday morning. I went from hot tea to iced tea. It's not summer here at my house until I make a big pitcher of iced tea. I made my big pitcher of iced tea yesterday. It is sweet tea for those of you that are not in the United States. That is cold tea with an absolute ton of sugar in it. So we're carbing up and getting ready. But I won't eat any food for the rest of the day. So we're all good. So, all right. So let's take a look at this Serena Williams situation. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to bring that view up. So let's take a look at the marriage. We're going to look at the marriage in Celtic Cross and just see what comes up for that. Ace of Wands, new beginnings. Now, this is our center card. So whatever we pull after this is going to tell us a little bit of a story. We're going to pull from the center of the deck. High Priestess, secrets. Secrets. So the High Priestess, when she's in reverse, we get a little nervous around her. She's one of the cards that always made me a little uneasy because she knows everything about you. She knows what kind of nonsense you're trying to sell, and she's got your number. So when it's in reverse, we have a situation here where she knows. Are we talking about it? Not necessarily yet. I'm going to pull another card just to see what else crosses them. Diversion. We have Two of Pentacles going in two different directions. Under the surface, this is our shadow self. Queen of Wands, recreating some new beginnings, goes very nicely with that Ace of Wands there. Absolutely. What is in the past? This is our suitcase card. Remember, I always say this is the suitcase card. It's what we either need to go in the past and drop off and unpack, or we need to pack in our suitcase and move forward with it. So if we've got that 10 of Cups, I'm going to pull a clarifier. Let's make it a little. Do we need to leave this in the past, the happy family? Do we need to forget about the happy family, or do we need to remember the happy family and bring it into the future? It looks like there's a lot of conflicts about the recollections may vary. Honestly, it is recollections may vary. We're trying to figure out, what things were good. Were things really that good? Were they really that bad? And we really need to look at those kinds of things. So checking that out. Dominant energy in the headspace, where everybody's head is at right now, what they're thinking about. And just reminding you, this is a collective reading for the marriage. So this is both of them, and their children sometimes would be involved. Up here, making considerations, looking back and seeing what we can do better, what we can correct. So I do think that there's some business going on in the marriage. The only negative cards that we have right now are the High Priestess and that Two of Pentacles. So if they're thinking about breaking up, they may be experiencing some stress in the marriage that needs correction. So this is right now, it looks very correctable. Let's see what we have in the future. The world is not ending. When that world card is in reverse, the world is not ending. I think that they are at a point where they are kind of shifting. And that happens when you have kids. You know, your kids get to a certain age, and sometimes you have to make concessions for each other and give each other a little bit more grace. I know when my kids were little, they demanded a lot of my time, you know, diaper changes, feedings, and all that stuff. Sometimes people can feel neglected in the course of that. So sometimes when the kids get to a certain age and maybe someone's going back to work or working on some new projects, they may be losing some time from the marriage. So maybe we need to readjust. Let's see how they see each other. Right now, they see each other as falling out of love. That's okay because we do have the new beginning here. How others see them is not seeing the cup half full, not seeing what's actually there and what they can bring to each other. They're kind of on different ships. They're in the same armada, but they're on different ships at the moment. Hopes and fears. Hopes and fears. The fear is a divorce. The fear is cutting it off. Ultimate outcome, and we've got that King of Swords there, so we may be looking going in different directions. So and reminder, current energy is what we're reading right now, so they may be thinking about going in different ways. What can they do? Because we always like to find that yellow brick road. Sorry, that wasn't a suggestive. My throat really needed to be cleared. What can they do to correct this? What can they do to correct this? Change their way of thinking. Limitless possibilities. Page of Cups in reverse, Page of Wands in reverse. Part of the issue is that their work lives are not cohesive. The way that they work, so, you know, everyone has different learning styles. Everyone has different working styles. The way that they go about their industry and their businesses is very, very different. I think, is in investments. I'm not sure. And she's an athlete. You know, there can be some common threads there in the way that we work, but it looks like the way that they work is very different. This is almost like he's a dog person, she's a cat person, he's a morning person, she's an evening person, or vice versa, whatever. It just feels like they're not quite on the same page. I think absence makes the heart grow fonder here. If they do something radical and they do take some time apart, live apart for a little bit, I think that it may either confirm or correct the widening chasm between them. They have to stop talking to others, though, and this includes like marriage counselors. They have all of the equipment that they need, and they need to work with that information. Down here, you know, we've got that the emotions are kind of all over the place. Like but it's not like that they're fighting. There's almost like a void of emotions. It's kind of like they're out of the equation a little bit. So we do have the Ace of Pentacles, which indicates new beginnings. So it may be advantageous for them to take some time apart, have maybe not a formal separation, but just some time apart and see how they feel about it at the end of it all. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll see how they're doing over the next few weeks. We'll check that out. So moving on to our next subject. So there was a question not for reading, but explaining how I do remote viewing. So this is from Brown Eyed Lady. Hello, my dear. So I have been remote viewing since I was in my late teens. I did get Dick Sutphin's. It was a VHS tape, but you can get a digital copy of it through Dick Sutphin. Sutphin is spelled Sutphen. It's available through Vimeo, so it's an electronic video that you can watch online. The visuals for it are really good. They get you into this great hypnotic state, as are all of his hypnosis videos. I love all of them. Sadly, he passed away, but his work, stands the test of time. He's actually a really terrific guy. But I did start remote viewing with him. And essentially, remote viewing is looking with a telescope at another location. You can remote view through time. You can time travel in remote viewing. It's fairly simple to do once you get comfortable doing with it. It's different from astral projection. When we astrally project, we leave our body and we go to another site. In the 60s, 50s and 60s, when we started the remote viewing project in our government here in our military, they discovered that people that were astrally projecting could sometimes be um, sensed at the site that they were looking at. So they got more into the practice of doing remote viewing, where you actually stay in your body, you stay physical, you still feel your chair. With astral projection, you can kind of feel like you're just floating and you're kind of out there. If you have an interest in remote viewing, I have huge. I don't teach it because I still don't consider myself, a supreme expert at it. I am good at it, but there are better teachers than I am. So Lori Williams has a course called it's on the website, Intuitive Specialists with an S. You can take a 3-day course there. It's amazing, 3-day free course to just get a taste of it. What she does is she teaches coordinate remote viewing, which is different from the Dick Sutphin meditative remote viewing. In Dick Sutphin's video, you just meditate and you go to the site and you get lots of information. It's like watching a movie, really cool. With the coordinate remote viewing that Lori Williams teaches, and she's a delight. She's so adorable. It's a scientific process. So essentially, it's a little bit easier for people to understand that aren't into the woo woo that we are. So I would give it a shot. Go take the 3-day course at Intuitive Specialist. I have no connection with them other than being a student myself, and I absolutely love the class and I love everything that I learned through there. The course, the full course is available in digital format where you're self-directed, and it's also available in person. I think she has classes in New Mexico, but I think there's another couple of places they do them as well. My one of my goals is to go to one of her in-person classes. I would love to do that. Carve out some time for that. So, you'll absolutely love her. There's lots of remote viewing channels on YouTube as well. You can see how people put this into play, how it's used. I've taught my husband and one of his coworkers to do it as well, and to great success. They're actually really, really good at it, having not done any psychic stuff at all. So I strongly advise it. Give it a shot, see if it is the forte that you're really good at. I'm like I said, I'm good at remote viewing, but I don't teach it because I don't think that I'm an expert enough to teach. So I hope that answers your question. But you did ask, Brown Eyed Lady, if I have to sit in a quiet room, do I ask a question? If I'm going to remote view, I've actually gotten good enough at it that, like, I don't have to have like a sensory deprivation tank. All of my psychic ability, I don't need to be isolated and just kind of sitting in a quiet, preserved environment. But the reality is that you practice as you play. So, if you have kids running around and all that, like, you're going to have to work like that sometimes. So, initially, yeah, you sit in a quiet room and you really focus on it, but that's with any of our psychic abilities. But you can do it. Greg and I had to do a remote view to find somebody who lost a dog, and we had to find a dog from inside his truck while he was driving down the road. So basically what he did was he drove and I did the reporting structure for him, and he did the reading for me. We were both doing it at the same time, so we were doing it on one piece of paper. And we found the dog. So, the dog, yay, made it home. So, there's a lot of applications for remote viewing. You can use it for psychic stuff, just, for pop culture stuff. You can use it to find dogs. You can use it to find lost objects, lost people, obviously. It's psychic spy stuff. Of course, you can look with that. What else can you use it for? There's applications for mechanical, medical. Some people, like plumbers and electricians, will take a remote viewing course to see through the walls and see what's going on inside a house or a job. Doctors will take a remote viewing course so that they have an added advantage as well. They can go into the body and look. I do that a lot when people ask me for health readings. I'll scoot into the body and see what's going on in there. So I hope that answers your question. So moving on, let's get to our next one. So another question. I wonder how much longer Charles will funnel money to Meghan and Harry. So let's take a look and see if he's still funneling money to them. I do think that he's still supporting them in some sense of the matter. Being cut off when you're a prince of the realm is a little bit different from what the rest of us think cut off is. Harry's broke is not our broke, but I think he's getting close to our broke. So let's see if Charles is still supporting them. And this says it right here. He's still supporting them a little bit. There's still a little bit of money that is coming out of Charles' pocket, of the king's pockets. Not a lot, but a little bit. We're seeing just a little bit. He's loosened up those purse strings a little. He understands that hard times make hard men, and soft times make soft men. So Harry's a little soft, if you ask my opinion. But all right, so let's see. How much longer will he still give them money? Are we still looking through the end of the year for financing? Oh my. So is he financing their life in America? I don't think by the end of the year he will. But this little guy is interesting. This little guy tells me that I think we're going to see gingers on the White Cliffs of Dover. I think we're going to see Ginger Boy going back home. I think he's going to go back home. I think he's going to come back to the fold. We have that 5 of Pentacles there. This is being cast out on the outside, being the orphan, coming back. He's coming back in. This is a wish granted. I think we're seeing him come back before the end of the year. So is their financing still going out? I don't think so. I think by the end of the year, we're going to see the money spigot dry up. And I think he is going to make his way back home. So that's what I'm saying. That's my prediction for right now. So let's see our next question. So this is one of my favorite questions that I've ever gotten. I'd like to know, and it's Karen Coltis. I'd like to know if Harry and Meghan's saga was fated. Was her sole contract to highlight corruption, narcissism, PR manipulation, etc.? It feels like everything they do, causes they endorse or get into, all get called out and highlighted. So let's see if Harry and Meghan were fated to be together. And we're actually going to do this Hydesville Tarot too. So good times here, guys. Good times. I hope you're having a great day. I hope your week is starting out smart. Smart start to your week. And you're not drinking too much tea like me. So is this relationship fated? Not fated, fated. Wheel of Fortune. They could have avoided this relationship. This So we're gonna leave that there. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. We'll put that up there. This was a balancing out, but what was it a balancing out of? Of Wheel of Fortune. Ah, okay. So going into some past life stuff, guys. I'm still working on my certification, so I'm actually going to do some studying today after I finish my batching my recordings today. So, why is this lifetime a balancing out? Um, Fortunate lives that have been granted to these two have been squandered and not have not been appreciated enough. I think we're seeing that again in this lifetime. They are flying in the face of fortune. You know, people say flying in the face of God all the time, but this is flying in the face of fortune. The gods have favored them with cushy, easy lifetimes. This is a cushy, easy lifetime for both of them, but it's their chance to give back, to be altruistic. Now, that is why Meghan Markle has such a problem with Catherine, the Princess of Wales, because Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has been introduced into this world from a quasi commoner kind of experience. I mean, she was not working class by any stretch of the imagination. Her parents did work very hard for what they had, and they provided very well for their children. I'm talking about the Middletons. But Meghan sees herself as starting from a loftier position than Catherine Middleton once did. So she is seeing herself as more um, gifted, granted, graced than Catherine. Therefore, her baseline should have been everyone loves me and they can only love me more. So that is why she has such a difficult time with the Princess of Wales, because the Princess of Wales is not coming from this position of, I'm better than everyone else, I'm fantastic. Even now, as the Princess of Wales, married to the heir to the throne, she's not stepping with that kind of an attitude. I do think that we're going to see Catherine turn into something a little bit different in regard to Meghan, not in regard to anyone else. But I think this fated relationship between Catherine and Meghan, I think Catherine is the one who's going to top out karmically over this. Now, so going backward, we're going to go back to Harry. So Harry and Meghan. So, oh, I think my cover needs to be washed a little. So it is how they deal with the grace and power that is given to them, not by the crown, but by the ethereal powers that be. This is a lack of spirituality in both of them. Their spirituality is very surface, it is very self centered, it is very self interested. So they may go to church, they may walk the walk, but do they feel it in their very feels? Absolutely not. There is really a spiritual hole in both of them. I don't care how much yoga she does. I don't care how many, church walks Harry's gone on. There is a spiritual void. They need to connect to the higher powers that we have, God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it. Gaia, even if you want to I didn't mean to say that like so nastily, Gaia. But they need to connect to that. That is the problem. They have been granted many lifetimes of pleasure, leisure, and great things, but they have always managed to lose it because of this lack of connection and the lack of gratitude to spirit for the things that have been granted to them. So Very interesting. Is their relationship faded? I think their relationship with money is faded. I think this is something that the soul contract worked out. You guys are going to do this again. You're going to crash and burn together. You're going to I shouldn't say crash and burn. You're going to experience this. So what can they do to correct this? So let's find our yellow brick road for them. Find the yellow brick road. What do they need to do? We already know they need to connect with spirit. What's gonna kick that off? What is gonna kick that off? So I hate to say they need to be poor for a bit. In this lifetime, they need to be poor in a modern world. So it's a little bit easier to be poor in, the 13th century, because you could just tra la la and go, find a piece of land and build a house on it, somewhere in the wilderness that nobody else wanted, and still have a shelter, still, grow your own crops, do your own thing. In a modern world, that's very difficult. In a modern world, if you crash and burn, you crash and burn, and you're either couch surfing or you're out on the street. So they need to get poor in a modern world and feel it and feel that struggle. Then they will appeal to the gods. Now, this isn't like the best way to find your spirituality, but that in that case, when they're on the street covered in filth and they don't have anything, they have not a penny to split between them. In that moment, we say, God, I am your servant. Show me the way. And that is the moment that come to Jesus moment. Do they get there? I think if we are using substances, if we're kind of masking the terribleness of our commoner life, I think we get into a situation where that achievement is very, very hard to get to. When you use substances, it does lower your energetic profile. It makes it a lot harder for you to connect with spirit and God and universe, all those things. So I think if we stay away from the substances as much as possible, I think he stands a chance. I do think that there is consideration for the easiest out, if you know what I mean, the easiest out, getting yourself out of a tough situation using a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I hope you guys are following me on this. So I do think there is some consideration of that. I think that has been the course of action in prior lifetimes. I think that was a way to solve the problem in prior lifetimes. So hopefully we're not going to see a repeat of that. Under the surface, we have this very happy center of the universe. So the shadow self wants to be happy. The shadow self wants to uplift and have this happy ever after. Can they get away from the material goods? Like they really should go to an ashram for a little while. I think that's a good idea. Getting away from the material goods, stop focusing on the physical, on the meat puppet that you're wearing, and get into spirit. I think they both really need to do that. So that this part of it, I think is pretty clear. Now, was Megan's soul contract to highlight corruption? Is she the light that is shown on narcissism, PR manipulation, all those things? Is that part of her soul contract? So no, not necessarily. And there's that happiness underneath. Her soul contract in terms of these businesses is to bungle them. That's part of the soul contract here. It's to here we're throwing spaghetti at the wall. We're trying to do everything we can to make things happen, but we overdo it. It's like Tommy Boy with his sail, and I pet it, and then I crush it and ruin it and destroy it. It really is doing that. And that's not to say that she does a lot of work. She's got too many things going on at once. She's got too many pokers in the fire, too many things all over the place. And trying to be too big, too fast, too soon. That is the recipe that was set up for the financial failure that they're going to that they have experienced time and time again in lifetimes. So this is the recipe that was set up for that. Really, the more important rule is that they connect with spirit, that they develop some sense of gratitude for everything that they've been giving over the last few lifetimes, and come to Jesus with that moment. Have some grace, have some gratitude for it. It's the gratitude that they feel is very surface. It's happiness in the moment. It's, being handed a lollipop. Ooh, I got a lollipop. It doesn't go beyond that. It doesn't go beyond, like, I am so lucky that I have this lollipop. I'm so lucky that the people in the factory could make this lollipop for me, and that I have the money to pay for the lollipop, and that people love me enough to give me the lollipop. They don't think in those layers. So, this is just that initial grab moment, the initial grab moment. So, no, her fate with these different entities that she's getting involved with, they're just entities that are going to fail. The engineering is going to fail so that she can experience, so she can hopefully generate some feeling of gratitude. So I hope that helped. And we're gonna go on. So this was one that I missed last week. I don't think I covered this. Misan Harriman. I know that he is not fond of people that do readings on him. So I know he's not fond of that. So we're just gonna do like a really quick reading on him. He's been involved with Boris Becker. Boris Becker was involved in the mining in Nigeria. Is the operative word. So the whole question is, hi, Anna, I'm interested. This is from Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm interested in Misan Harriman, Harry and wife's photographer, sketchy background with Boris Becker, and they're dealing in mining in Nigeria. We all know what happened to Boris, now considered Migraine came out and said she was 43% Nigerian, then doing the fake royal tour with Hasnut and Misan there taking photos. I just did my sloppy shuffle, guys. It was the first one of the week. So the question is this all orchestrated by Misan, Haas, and Migraine to get a deal with Nigeria, the mining industry? Considering Archwell's Foundation has interest in mining products, how deep are their business dealings? So let's get a bead on Misan first. So whatever nonsense he has been experiencing, he is getting over it right now. He's not too upset about anything. He has a plan. What's under the surface? Business plans, kids. Putting things together. Past is in charity. Ooh, self-involved leadership moving forward. Here. I think we're seeing something very interesting. How he sees himself. He's breaking away. Devil breaking away in reverse. Queen of Pentacles. He is changing his direction. So I can't remember who he called out. What was it? William? He called out William basically and said, it was like a call to action for his friends, but he basically called out William in it. So this does look like he's trying to distance himself. Other people are seeing him as someone with very, very shaky, poor foundation. So I'm wondering if the revelation that he was, millionaire playboy when he was younger. I don't think, so full disclaimer. Um, I think if you are a person like those rich kids of Instagram, the millionaire kids of Instagram, I don't have a problem with those kids flashing around their stuff. I mean, I do when my son thinks that, $150,000 vehicle is not expensive. Um, he does. I don't think that there's anything wrong with having that kind of privilege. I'm not going to criticize someone because of the accident of birth or the family that they were brought into, and if they were given opportunities that are outside the normal experience of people, I'm not going to be critical of that. If someone's being cruel and mean and obnoxious, yes, I will be a jerk about that. If they're like shoving it in the poor kid's face, that's terrible. But I grew up with kids of means. They were, having a great time. And one of the things is the high school that I went to my senior year. A lot of the kids had their own sailboats, which I thought was curious because I had come from two other towns that not everyone had a sailboat. But they had very small sailboats. They would, like think Jaws, like those sailboats, which are incredibly expensive. Like those little sailboats are not cheap, but they had sailboats and they would go sailing out on the river. It was a very cool experience. Yeah, I shouldn't say a lot of kids, a number of kids. My graduating class was under 100 kids, so it was a very tiny school. But I'm not going to beat somebody up because they were born into a family or their family did well for themselves and they were lucky enough to have lived in a certain way. It's when you go back in time and you start to kind of change that narrative. Oh, what I didn't, Hilaria Baldwin's one. Like she's not an American from Boston with a, completely normal name. She is Ilaria from Spain. She's not Spanish. So, when you start to rewrite that history, it's a little awkward. Now, if Misan Harriman wants to be an up and coming photographer, he wants to show that he's raised himself up from his bootstraps, maybe that privileged background is not the best place to start. If he wants to go into altruism, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. It really depends on who he's going to champion and how he's going to champion them. So, um, it does look here that he is changing gears and that this life of privilege is not wearing well with some people. I think some people are critical of his life of privilege. I am not going to be, if he was raised in a privileged household, good for him. I think that's great. Over here, he's biding his time right now and he's walking a fence. He's really trying to figure out, he is now somewhat recognizable because of the experience with Harry and Meghan and being their photographer. But he's biding his time at the moment. And up here, it's this curious outcome cards. We have the outcome of the Two of Wands in reverse, which is changing course, doing something unexpected. Not a tried and tested and true course of action. And then up here, we have the apprentice who is leaving the master without the course of study being completed. So that I think is very curious. He may be splitting off and kind of doing his own thing. Are they mixed up in this whole mining thing together? Do we have a crazy mixed up story where we're working with mining together, the three of them? The Three of Pentacles in reverse is Misan pulling away from something. So let's see. I say, here's the Empress, nurturing, taking care of several projects. Huh. He's looking to make money, guys. This is an investment for him, the work that he's doing. Now, the relationship with Megan, I think, is very cozy. Now, I'm not saying that they're, involved with each other or anything like that, but I do think that there's a mutual attraction there. When we work with people, we want to have common threads with them. We want to have certain things that we feel are universal between us, whether it's a group or one person or a couple of people, one to one. There is a certain amount of attraction between the two of them. And I'm going to say this is probably very unusual for Megan. I don't think that she's ever been attracted to somebody like Misan. I think there's something about his virility that she finds very, very attractive. As do most women, there's a very masculine kind of approach. We're engineered to be attracted to that, because they can be a good provider, they can protect us, they can provide ample young, that kind of thing. Speaking scientifically, I'm not speaking sociologically, but there is something about the feminine wiles that she throws out that he finds very attractive too. Now, that's not to say that his wife is not very attractive. She is. I would say more attractive than Megan, quite frankly. But there's the milieu of Megan is very attractive. She does know how to set a stage, so to speak. There are lots, there's something about her vision and the projects that she presents. We could do this, we could do this, we could do this, that he finds very exciting and very uh, uh, invigorating. He finds it very invigorating to be with someone who is so effervescent in their creativity. Whereas his wife energetically feels like much more deliberate, obtuse work ethic. She's not in a boardroom splashing around a whole bunch of crazy ideas. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's do this. His wife is much more methodical in the way that she does things. I don't feel that she is the same kind of wild abandon that we have from Megan. Which one works better? His wife's works a lot better because she actually does the planning. It's not like, let's throw this out there and make it go viral. And if it sticks, we'll hang on to it and we'll run with it, which is really Meghan Markle's business plan. So that being said, I think if there is some involvement with mining in Nigeria, I think there's a lot of wild ideas about how they could connect with this. I think there's wild ideas about how they can make money and still look good at this. There is probably some kind of concealment on it. There's probably some kind of company that they will put in place to hide their connection with the mining industry. So, are they involved? Yes. Are they going to follow through on this? Yes, I think so. I think this is one of the investments that they would do through Archwell in concert with Misan. So, does this mean that they're going to set up their own H&M, set up their own mine? No, I don't think so. But I do think that they are involved already in terms of investment, but they're looking to get more involved to get more yield out of that investment. So that's all I have to say about that. I don't want to go any further. I don't want people coming to my door asking me questions. So let me see if there's some more questions on here. So apparently there is, let me just bring this up here. Apparently there is a reporter through Murdoch's production publications that is trashing the whales and really attacking 10-year-old Prince George, which is terrible because he's such a cutie. So are they doing that? I mean, Harry doesn't get along with them either. Why is this newspaper reporter attacking poor Prince George? Why is he doing that? Or she? I don't know if it's man or woman. Let's see why they're doing this. Ugh. So this is one of those crusaders who's like, I'm going to take down the royal family all by myself. They have subjugated the masses for too long. This is somebody who's on like this bizarro quest. You know, sometimes people get stuck in these tropes of thinking, whereas, you know, to be sure, my ex thought this way for a long time, you know, oh, well, there's the upper class and then there's us working class. There's many more shades of that. So this individual is, you know, trying to pull somebody down off their platform, off their, you know, just you know, I'm standing, I'm a voice for the people. You're not a voice for the people, you're a jerk. So what should the Waleses do to protect George from this? Where's the yellow brick road here? What do they need to do to protect George from any damage to his person? You know, I don't care about his reputation. The kid's got a great reputation. But what can they do to protect him and let him thrive and grow with this? He's going to be king one day. And he has plenty of people surrounding him that are good. This is something that will always happen. Even the most famous of famous monarch has dealt with this. The stories may be his reality in the moment. This is what his parents need to tell him. Even though the stories that they're saying about George are his reality in the moment, the truth is that he is going to be king one day, and he has the support and the people there to build him into a fine young man and an excellent king. There is an endless cycle of individuals that will always attack the monarch. Queen Elizabeth was attacked by the press, by certain individuals. There were certain criticisms of her work and certain criticisms of things that she has done. But Princess Diana Diana, Princess of Wales, is a perfect example of that. They did not lower the flag. The Queen did not make a statement right away when she was killed in the car accident. She was criticized horribly for that. Everyone was saying that, you know, they need to make a statement. They need to make a statement. Ultimately, one was made. Some say it was made a little too late. I don't think so. I think, you know, it was a shock around the world. And I think, you know, it needed to be done and said when the time was right. So they have to let him know that the press cannot dictate his personality. His personality is what it is. He's the same little boy that woke up that morning before he read that he got in a fight over a rubber ball or something it's going, or whatever kind of nonsense they're going to make up. And that he will always have the love and support of the people if he conducts himself flawlessly. It's a lot of pressure on a little boy, but conducts himself flawlessly. He has a lovely home. He has a lovely life. He has lovely parents and an amazing legacy. You know, that's one of the things about being part of the royal family. You know, a lot of us can go back in time. We can look up our great grandparents. You know, can we look up, you know, our 27th uncle that was the Earl of whatnot? You know, like we can't do that. We can't look up the stories. We don't know the people that we're related to beyond the last couple of generations. I mean, you can look on ancestry.com. You can look in your genealogy records, but are there stories about them? Are they historical stories? No. The beauty of being in the royal family is you can walk down that hall of portraits and you can see everyone that was in your family at one time that has had an impact on history. Some of those family members you may not want to hang out with, but I'm looking at you, Richard the Third. But you can go back and you can see, um, stories about your relatives and about people that their blood runs through your veins. Very, very, um, a privilege that I think a lot of us would appreciate. So, appreciating that, little George, that there are people before you, the echoes of your family that you can look up and you can really appreciate that and lean into that and be a good man and a good leader based on that information. So we were a little royal heavy today, but I'm going to cut it off because we're coming up on an hour. So if you stayed with me for the hour, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this. As always, comment down below what you want to hear for next week's Mixtape Monday. So I'll put up a post on Sunday as well, but you can comment in the comments here. If you want to look at historical stuff, I'm game. Put historical stuff in there. I'm totally fine with that. You guys know I love history. So I hope you all have an amazing day. Again, if you'd like to get your own magical reading with me, you can book at the link below. If you would like to put in requests below here for next Mixtape Monday. I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for being here and have an amazing day.